water a little high today. Maybe it'll keep everybody from breaking into my daggum truck. Alright, I'm out here at the Hatchie River, one of my favorite little places to fish for catfish. Water's up high as crap, and it's a lot of current, but I had a window opportunity to go, so here I am, and I figured why not give a overview of the things I've done to this boat getting a bite. The first thing I did to this boat, I think it was the summer of last year, is I was actually here, and man, in the summertime, for whatever reason, this camouflage or painted metal, aluminum, gets so much hotter than bare aluminum. My last boat was a bass tracker and it was just aluminum. This crap gets so hot, I actually burnt the back of my calf on the boat, and it got so bad like you had to wear shoes in the boat because it was just way too hot to step on. So what I ended up doing is picking up a couple rolls of hydro turf. I went with the 3M back stuff, and it wasn't the easiest thing in the world to do. It's nothing complicated about it, but you know, nothing square in a boat. Everything, you know, veers out to the side and angles and all these hatches and stuff. I mean, it took me a little longer than I thought, but it wasn't that bad of a job. I recommend anybody, if you're wanting to put some kind of flooring down, is go with hydro turf. I think this color is called swamp camo. I got it off of eBay, and it's not cheap. I want to say it was like $140 something a sheet, and these are the big sheets. I'm not exactly sure what the measurement is on it. And it was a little bit bigger than 4x8, I believe, but you can get them in a lot of different sizes. This is the biggest sheets I could get, and it took 2 sheets. I got some scrap here and there, but not much. And I didn't have to do the center part. The center part, the floor of the boat, has something on it, some kind of liner from the factory. But the camo matches the camo paint on my boat pretty well, I think. Early this year, I leave my boat outside, and it was kind of my fault. You should always, keep your depth finder or fish finder covered up when you can. And I left mine outside, and we had a ton of rain last year, and I'm assuming that over the time, just driving the boat, trailering it, the screws that hold the unit together, like if you want to take it apart, I guess they came loose and got a lot of water in it. Actually, we came here one day, me and JD, and fish finder wouldn't turn on. I went home and checked all my connections, everything was good. So I ended up taking the unit apart, and it was about a half a cup of water inside the unit. So what I ended up doing was upgrading. The boat came with a Helix 5, and I upgraded to a Helix 7, and it has side imaging and down imaging, which the other one didn't. And I really like that. I mean, I've put it to really good use, especially like places like this. Like this water is just absolutely chocolate milk. You put it on that down imaging, and it'll show you like tree branches in the water. So if I'm setting up to catfish, what I'll do, I'll go through the spot that I'm going to throw my lines out at and check and make sure what the structure looks like before I throw into a tree and get snagged up. And that saved me probably a bunch of rigs getting broke and tangled up since I've got that unit. If you just regular sonar, the yellow and blue and purple stuff, it just might show a bump in the water. And like I said, that down imaging will show actual branches and stuff and let you know, that's a tree down there. And also it's helped me out a lot, like at Reelfoot, where it's just flat and it's a lot of trees that you can't see under the water. I actually, earlier this year, found a laid down tree that you would never know was there, and I parked next to it and caught like 20 fish from that one spot. You'd never know it was there unless you had that side imaging. The next mod I did on this boat is install a power pole, and I installed mine directly to the transom. Most people, usually you see them things on bass boats, and what they'll do is they'll put these plates behind the motor. If you're just running one power pole, you got to run a plate behind the other to keep it even. and I didn't have a cherry picker or anything to pick that motor up, so I ended up just bolting mine directly to the transom. And power poles are really expensive. I think it was like 13 something shipped, and that was a hard trigger to pull for me, because I wasn't really sure how much I would actually use it, and I absolutely love it. Like, I use it at this river a lot. A lot of times I'll get in the spots that are, you know, pretty shallow, and instead of having a double anchor, I can tie off the front of the boat, put that power pole down, and I'm not going anywhere. This river's usually got a lot of current, so if you just do the front of the boat, you'll have a lot of swing. With that power pole down, you won't swing at all. And it's really been a great addition to this boat. Another mod that I've done, this boat came with a Minn Kota Edge 55. It's a 12 volt. And I was 100% happy with it. And I was worried about just a 12 volt, you know, how it would really pull this boat around. It's a 1756 boat. It's kind of big, but it does great. But I wanted the iPilot, and I don't know if you try to buy one this year, I guess with the coronavirus crap, they got sold out. So as soon as they got available again, I bought one about 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and put it on. And I had intentions of filming that, but I'm kind of glad I didn't, because it wasn't, putting the trolling motor in itself wasn't hard. What's hard is getting to your bolts. I end up having to cut a hole in the top of my boat, and I end up just cutting out a piece of aluminum and painting it black, which I plan on getting a bigger scrap of aluminum and cutting it out to where it looks a little bit better. But man, getting your hand all the way up there to where them bolts are, it actually has a little access panel from the factory, but I mean, it's like 3 inches tall, and I could get about that far, and I needed to get my whole arm up there just to get to them bolts. But since getting that trolling motor, I put it to good use. It is excellent for bow fishing. You know, bow fishing by myself, I can use the remote control, just wear it around my neck on the lanyard, and just put it on constant, and then just hold my bow in my hand and walk around the boat, and I ain't got to worry about having my foot on the pedal or anything like that. And also, it's going to be great for drifting for catfish. I've done that once since I've got it, and it was on a super windy day, and it did great. So I'm excited about that. Now, one thing, I got the Terrova with the foot pedal, because I just knew I would never get used to just using a remote, and it seemed like it would be impossible to do that while bass fishing. And I bass fish a lot. So I got the foot pedal, and one thing I haven't heard anybody really talk about is the foot pedal and how they like it. Foot pedals is a lot different than the Edge. It's not like a cable and pulley system. It's like all electronic, and it's a real thin cord that's just wires that go to the trolling motor. It plugs in, and it takes some getting used to. I'm still not 100% used to it. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about getting a Terrova. That you might want to go to Bass Pro, and if they got one on display, play around with it, because it's definitely a lot different than your traditional style trolling motor foot pedals. That being said, I'm happy with the trolling motor, and I know I'm going to get a lot of good use out of it. All the little neat things that it comes with, the spot lock and all that. And obviously the latest addition I've had is the bimini top that I put on today. I mean, today will be the first time that I actually get to use it. The sun's out, and it's not very hot right now, but I'm sure I'm gonna put it up. But as far as the boat itself, man, it's been great. I absolutely love this boat. I think in the first video I said my only gripe about it really was the lack of storage, and it sucks. There's no storage in this boat whatsoever, but I've found ways around it, and I've worked with it to where it's not that big of a burden. If you know exactly what you're fishing for, you only fish for one type of species, you know, it probably wouldn't be as bad. But with me, like I catfish, panfish, bass fish, you know, bow fish, I do it all. So a lot of times I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna do, so I try to bring a lot of stuff, and it kind of gets troublesome trying to figure out where to put things. To help out with that, I ended up modifying my back seat. I did a video of where I made that seat in the back. It was a Millennium seat. I think it's called a pommel horse seat, and then I built a rod holder to go into it, and I offset it, and it wasn't bad. It still had a little wobble to it. I don't know if you watched the video or not. That was my only concern about it. But what I ended up going with is I ended up getting, I have a Orca cooler that I hardly ever used, and it has the two slots. If you open the lid, it's got two slots on each side where you can tie it down, strap it down to something. So I ended up getting on Amazon, and I bought some straps, little tie down straps. It was fairly cheap, like 15 bucks I think. It's two little chrome little deals that bolt to your boat, and then it comes with straps, little pull straps, so you can tighten it down. And I'm not exactly sure, like not all coolers have them slots, so I know Yeti does and I know Orca does. I have a Lifetime cooler at home and it does not, so you might have to spend a little money and get a cooler to work for it. But that Orca is the perfect height for me to sit on and drive the boat, and I have turned it into an extra storage spot, and I have dedicated that cooler as my bait cooler, which kind of sucks. That cooler was like 320 bucks, but like I said, I wasn't really using it, and it fits perfect, and that's my bait cooler. It'll take a lot of cleaning to get that fish smell out of it, I'm sure, but it works great. I like it, and that seat was just taking up space. Now I have a cooler there that I can put stuff in. I was having to put a cooler over here in the front of the boat and having to step around it, and now I have access on both sides of my boat when I'm fishing. So that's helped out a lot. You have a little bit of storage under the console, and I have like a dry box under there with like an extra plug, a saw, and some necessities like that. And then I have a tackle box it's got like catfishing stuff in it, and it has some pan fishing stuff, bobbers and stuff like that, and that's about it. That's all you can fit under there. And then of course it has that live well in the front part of the console, and I never use it as a live well, but I can put stuff in it. Like I made a little bait cutting tray, and it fits in there, and I think I have like 10 jugs in there, and it acts as an extra storage compartment for me. And then of course it has the two small lids right here, which one of them is fully dedicated to just life jackets. You know, got 2 life jackets in it, and that's about all you can put in it. And the other one has like some extra rope, some catfish line, some bigger, bulkier stuff, and that's basically it for storage. Which, like I said, it sucks, but I can live with it. So, like I said, overall, man, I love this boat. I don't see me selling this boat unless I come upon some hard times, and it'll take a good bit of money to get this boat from me, I imagine. But I mean, everything's got a price, right? I think I bought this boat, I can't remember, it was 15,000, 16,000, something like that, which it was basically brand new. The guy I bought it from only had taken it out like 6 or 7 times. The motor hadn't even been broke in yet. And speaking of the motor, I love the motor. It's got a Yamaha 70 on it, 4-stroke. I haven't had an ounce of problem out of it. It's a good little running motor. And you know, I feel safe to say that, you know, any kind of new 4-stroke motor, as long as you change the oil and take care of it, you know, you're not going to have too many problems with it. I broke the prop here one day, but I mean, that's not the motor's fault. A lot of people ask me about the center console, how I like it, and I absolutely love it, because like this river right here you can see behind me, I mean, it's just full of down trees and stuff that's just right at the, you know, the top of the water, no matter what the water level is. So being able to stand up and drive is awesome. Or even if I sit down, I still have a high level of eyesight where I can see what I'm fixing to run into. So that helps me out a ton. And you know, it takes up space, sure, but so does the side console. I think I'm pretty close to being done for mods on this boat. I say that, but I wouldn't mind putting some pods on the back, but I really don't feel like I need it. I have a couple spots that I fish that get really shallow that kind of are troublesome to get in and troll around in, so you know, it would definitely help. But is it cost effective? You know, would I get my money's worth out of it? Because them pods are pretty expensive, which my buddy Jacob said he could make some and weld them on for me, so I'm sure I could save some money in that aspect, but still it still won't be cheap. But yeah, I mean, since I've owned this boat, you know, I've run across a bunch of other people and talked to them that have G3 boats, the Gator Tough, and I haven't heard anybody say a bad thing about these boats. If you look at bass trackers, the main thing on them is people complain about cracked hulls. You know, that's what I dealt with my bass tracker. It cracked in 3 different spots, and it's not like I was going over sandbars and stuff with that boat. You know, I think it just cracked from, you know, cheap or thinner holes, and just trailering it, really. I think that's what it is, just, you know, rattling on the trailer. Ended up just flexing the boat too much and it broke. So now I haven't heard anybody talk anything bad about these boats. I could ramble on and on about this boat, and I'm super happy with it. I'm happy with the little mods I've done. I've added the pole holders in the back. I took that seat off, but I ended up redoing the pole holders I made for it to where it fits right in the seat post, and it goes in the factory seat post location, and that way I can have 4 poles out the back. The center console has 3 pole holder spots on each side where you can either store your fishing poles, use them as rod holders while you're fishing, or, you know, like I got a gaff over here, I got pliers over here, so that helps out with storage too. But anyways, that's my boat. That's my 1-year review of it. I'm 100% happy with it, and if I had to do it again, I would definitely buy this boat in a heartbeat. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm gonna see if I can't catch a couple catfish, and I will see you on the next one.